Hey beautiful people, thank you for taking some time stopping by my channel. I have a book tag that I actually am going to try my best to get edited and posted on a Tag Tuesday. I do tags, but I rarely get them posted on Tag Tuesday. It's just a silly little quirk of mine. But this one I will try to do. It was originally created by CriminOlly. I don't think I was tagged specifically by anybody, but I've been seeing it going around and I wanted to do the books I haven't read yet tag. I just think that that's a good kind of mid-year check-in, and I didn't do the mid-year freak out tag either, but it's okay. It's okay. We get to choose what we do, right? So this one's super easy. It's 5 prompts and then tagging a couple other people, and it's just looking at the books in different categories that maybe we haven't got to. And I'm going to show you all books that I have nowhere on my TBR. I'm a very goal-driven kind of girl, and so I will line up books as I want to read them or have goals to read them. But all the books I'm showing, I do not have any plans to read anytime soon. Probably, I don't have plans to read them this entire year unless you tell me and convince me I should bump them up in my TBR. I will read them eventually. I own them. I want to read them. But they are books I haven't yet read yet. So a classic is the first one. I picked Dune. I have a lot of interest in reading Dune. I don't really know why I haven't read Dune. It's one of those books that I'm always kind of embarrassed, like, oh, I've never read that. Yeah. But I also don't really have any plans necessarily of when I'm going to read this. So if there's a time of year or you think I should read it sooner rather than later, let me know. I know what I know about this is that it has kind of that science fiction kind of prequel to others where it is I always think of like Mad Max of Thunderdome, or one of those kind of like survival after the world is kind of struggling and there's a whole different reality system of trying to survive. I could be wrong, so I haven't read it yet. Next is a fiction book that I haven't read, and that is The Ember Blade by Chris Woody. This is a fantasy book, and it is rather chunky. When I bought it, I didn't realize it was quite as chunky, but I should know that these fantasy books are all this way. This one is a kind of, I don't think it's intentionally necessarily a retelling of Lord of the Rings, but it is that epic fantasy journey, classic hero, good against evil kind of thing that sounds wonderful, sounds exactly like something that I will love, but I haven't read it. I was very interested and am interested in reading it, but have no plans to start it. A little intimidated by how big it was when I actually got it. I just saw it on sale online and bought it, and then I got it and went, ooh. You ever done that before? The next category is nonfiction, and I own Tanehisi Coates' The Beautiful Struggle. This is his memoir book, a nonfiction memoir, and he is the author of Between the World and Me. Is that right? Between the World and Me. And that book was super, super powerful. It's a black father explaining to his son what it means to be a black young man coming to age in America, and being a white woman. That was an extremely beautifully written, easy to understand, emotional, gripping nonfiction book. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend this. This is his memoir. I think it would be amazing and awesome, and really, really want to read it. It's not horribly long. I just don't know why I haven't read it yet. It's sitting on my shelf. Tell me if you think I should bump that up. I definitely want to read it sometime, right? The next is a genre that is not, I think, your typical genre maybe. So I don't read horror at all. So I have no plans to read horror and will never read horror. So that's definitely a book that I haven't read yet because I don't do it and I don't plan to. But I do sometimes dabble in mystery thrillers and romances, but those are not some of my normal practices. It's not atypical to go a month or 2 or even 3 without either of those. So in that, I have a James Patterson mystery thriller I like James Patterson. I have read 2 or 3 of his, really, really like them. When I'm in the mood for kind of that mystery thriller, I find James Patterson really delivers. But this is one I've had for quite some time. I got it at a library haul for $2, and it's just been sitting on my shelf with no plans to read it. I just been kind of waiting for the mood, I guess, and haven't had it. So if you know this one, or particularly sometimes he has some that are sequels or need to be read in a certain order. So if you are a James Patterson fan and you know, let me know, can I read this one, or do I need to read a different one first before I read that? And then I could have, in the same vein, picked up a romance book, but the next and final kind of category of the tag is a book that you have owned the longest. And these library hauls are probably the books that I've owned the longest, because I buy them, they're super reasonable, but then I don't really have any plans to read them, and they sit there. I know that one and this one. It's a Jude Deuveraux First Impressions. It is a romance, at least I think it's a romance, by Jude Deuveraux First Impressions. So I have had this book for at least a couple of years from a library haul, and I think it's a romance. I'm 90% sure it's a romance, but I know nothing about it. It has no actual cover. I don't think that it has a synopsis, and then it's even like a large print, kind of easy read book. So I just thought, you know, I kind of like a couple of her other books, and I would pick it up as a random romance when I was in the mood to do a romance, maybe a February read. But I have no real plans necessarily when to read that. So if you're familiar with this book and think I should bump it up or whatever, let me know. So those are my books that I haven't read yet, and you can let me know if I should read them sooner than later. I can tag some people. I'm not positive these people haven't already done this. I know Anne with a book, she just did 20 classics that she wanted to read. So I don't think she's done this tag yet though. So Anne, if you want to pick one of those 20 as your classics answers and show us other books that you're interested in reading, you could do this tag, as well as I will tag Mijay at Read It Again. And if I'm not saying these right, I'll put them there. It's a newer channel to me that I've just started watching, where he does a lot of travel vlogs around the Middle East and the Holy Lands and things like that, and also really great book reviews. So you can check out all these channels below. And also I will tag AJ at AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. I don't think they've done this one yet. You've done a lot of tags, and they make their own tags up that are awesome, but I don't think you've done this one yet. So I'm wondering what books it is that you have behind you there that you haven't read yet. So that's it. I'll just leave it at those 3. I'll put their websites below so you can check those out. Other booktubers I like to check in with. I thank you for stopping by my channel. If you have a book that you have had on your bookshelf for a long time that you haven't read and you have a reason, drop me a comment below and let me know what that is for you. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Happy summer. Stay cool. It is super hot out there, y'all. Take care now. Stay in and read.